All right, folks, you know when the judges get it wrong, the justice system just, they get it so wrong. You know what happens? The inmates in the jail cell, they course correct. They look at the offenders, they look at the jail cell, they look at the crime, and they assess it. They look at it and they're like, this guy killed an 18-year-old boy? Yeah, he deserves to die. And we've seen this so many times where an offender's, let's say a rapist, goes to jail, or maybe a woman beater or somebody who abused women and children goes to jail. They usually get abused in jail as well, because inmates over there, they also have a sense of they have this sort of a language in jail, which obviously I don't know how to speak it because I've never been, but it's common that if you are in jail for doing such a thing as taking a life, a young person's life, or hurting a woman, you get dealt with by other inmates in there. And there's one guy who's terrified for his life right now, and that guy goes by the name of Vickram Digwa. Have you heard of him before? Yeah, the guy who apparently, this guy suffered so much racism. So much racism this guy suffered, he had to take a life. And I'm talking Henry Nowak. He killed Henry Nowak and falsely alleged that he was subjected to some racist attack. Oh no, I couldn't bear it. I had to deal with him. According to the videos that we watched, which I'm going to play very soon. But reports are coming in. I don't know how you're going to react to this, but reports are coming in that this guy, Henry, Vickram Digwa, is terrified in his cell and is refused to go to the A wing, to the general population. He's refused to leave the segregation cell. Well. I guess when they say what goes around comes around. I mean, it's coming around, folks. It's coming around. I don't know how you feel about this. I don't know. I don't really have any thoughts on this. I don't really care what happens to him in jail. But he's scared. He's freaking scared, terrified. All right, we're going to read this article, folks, so we can give you more context to this. A lot of people have reacted to this story. This story is coming in from the jail cell that he's in. And a lot of people have reacted, and it looks like everybody's pumping champagne right now, folks. I'm telling you. So, convicted murderer Vickram Digwa is refusing to move from prison segregation to an A wing at HMP Franklin after finding out it was where Ian Huntley was fatally attacked, according to reports. The prisoner who fatally stabbed an 18-year-old Henry Nowak in December 2025 is said to be terrified over the prospect of leaving the isolated unit. Digwa reportedly refused to go over fear for his safety, the article says. The 23-year-old is currently reportedly confined to his cell for up to 23 hours daily at HMP Franklin in County Durham, only venturing out under the close supervision of 4 officers for his daily exercise period. Right now, he's serving a life sentence with minimum of 21 years after he stabbed Henry and falsely alleged that he had subjected to a racist attack while the teenager was dying, which obviously most of you guys have seen the video. Very, very sad video, and I mean, outrageous from the police. I don't know how the police thought it was okay to prioritize somebody who's standing and leave the guy who's dying after repeatedly telling them that he's been stabbed like 7 times, and police still ignored him. And the worst thing is, they cuffed him as well while he was bleeding, dying on the floor. The article carries on. A source told the Express he declined relocation to an A wing after discovering it was the same wing where Ian Huntley had been fatally assaulted early this year. The source stated, quote, "Is there because he's terrified and refused to relocate to an A wing," the source said. The source carried on saying, he was told it was going to an A wing. He knew it was where Ian Huntley was killed, and he said no. That's what the source has said. And this is correct because, well, is correct because the article carries on. It said there is accurate in him having fear of his life because there is already talks around in the prison. There's already talks about him around the prison. Wow. Wow. So people are already talking about him in prison. So that's why he doesn't want to go. That's why he doesn't want to leave the confined the segregation cell. He doesn't want to leave the segregated, the isolated unit. Because he knows everybody's talking about him. People are sharpening knives and people are sharpening toothbrush ready for him. Not to say that's exactly what they're doing. I'm just speculating here. Because if they're talking about him and if they know his crime and if they've seen the video, I'm sorry, folks. Damn. I'm sorry, man. This is going to be a long day for you, Digwa. Apparently you know how to take a life. Well, you are in prison with people who have taken so many lives, including right now you are in the same prison as the guy who did the Manchester bombing. Well, he knows how to take life. I'm sure he's gonna teach you something. Ian Wright, Ian Huntley, he killed 2 babies. He was killed early this year. Why? Because I guess we can just speculate. Maybe the prisoners there don't like, they don't like people being killed, wrongfully being killed. And obviously you are in there for killing Henry Nowak. And I'm sure those guys, as they always do to everyone who is there for taking a life, taking a young person's life, assaulting women, assaulting young people, sexually assaulted and all these things. We all know how the inmates react. They usually deal with those guys. And it looks like you are on the list, mate, since they're already talking about you. And you obviously know, that's why you say you don't want to come out your segregated cell. But, I mean, folks. So here's a reaction from Tommy Robinson. He posted this saying, Henry Nowak's killer Vickram Digwa terrified and refusing HMP Franklin move over Huntley's fear. Okay. Vickram Digwa, 23, is being held in a segregation at HMP Franklin in County Durham after being too scared to move to the wing. And then Tommy made a commentary at the very end saying, good. I hope the rest of your days are in terror. It will never match the terror inflicted on Henry. Well, couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more, folks. I couldn't agree more. This is Ian Huntley, who was killed early this year. We know his crime. And according to the inmates in there, they don't like people like him. And it looks like Digwa has matched the profile. I don't know. I'm just speculating, but the stories are coming out and it's been everywhere. It's been reported everywhere that they don't like wrongers in there. They don't like people who are, who wrongfully take over people's lives. That's one thing about jail, folks. That's one thing about there's like these people in jail. They know. I don't know if it's it's a jail language or something. It's a jail talk, but it's like you gotta survive. It's a big battle. You gotta survive. I mean, I've watched movies and theories. I've heard theories and stuff. I've never been. I don't intend on going. I don't think I'll ever go to prison. I'm a good guy, unless K-Starmer comes back and arrests me for making videos. Then. Then maybe, but yeah, I'll follow the laws and stuff. I'm a good guy, and I mean it. I'm a good guy. So, but there is that type of language or that type of mentality in the jail cell. Whenever somebody new comes in, and let's say they're in for raping a child, if they don't secure their security straight away, other inmates will go after them and deal with them because I think they all have this understanding where hurting a child is wrong, even prisoners, even inmates who have gone in for killing people, for being in a gang. They also know that is wrong. So that's why we see reports and incidents like Ian Huntley being killed in that cell, in the same cell, HMP Franklin, because they also think, hey, you killed 2 babies, well, you gotta go. Well, Vickram Digwa, he killed an 18-year-old boy, and the stories is that he's scared because they're talking about him, and he's scared because he might be next. So I don't know, folks. What do you guys think? What are you guys if you guys have some sort of excitement towards this story? I couldn't care less what happens to Vickram Digwa in the jail cell, folks. Whatever they do to him, I don't really give a fuck, to be fair. He killed somebody, so what's the worst thing that can happen to him there? Being killed? I mean, I wouldn't lose a sleep, folks. But yeah, the story is that Vickram Digwa is scared to leave his segregated cell because he fears that they will kill him, and he thinks that he won't be safe. So he wants to stay in the segregation cell, in an isolated unit, and because he knows that people are already talking about him. According to the reports, it says here. According to the reports, which is accurate, as there is already talks about him around the prison. So they are already talking about him, folks. I don't know what, if they're talking about him, and if he's scared to come out, well, then he probably knows. He knows what's coming. But folks, I don't really care what happens to him, folks. I don't really care, okay? It shouldn't even be a story, to be fair. Shouldn't even be a story. It should be like, you remember that guy? Yeah, he's gone now. But yeah, I mean, it might sound very insensitive coming from me but what he did, I mean, don't give a fuck what happens to him. All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching. If you're new to the channel, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. That is the story coming from the prison cells. Coming from prison. That is a Vickram Digwa story, and I'll keep you guys updated on anything from him. Without further ado, thank you so much for watching. Like and comment. I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye.
And the show host, Baraka Amuri.